for longing. Blessed be the longing that brought you here and quickens your soul with wonder. May you have the courage to listen to the voice of desire that disturbs you when you have settled for something safe. May you have the wisdom to enter generously into your own unease, to discover the new direction your longing wants you to take. May the forms of your belonging in love, creativity, and friendship be equal to the grandeur and the call of your soul. May the one you long for you. May your dreams gradually reveal the destination of your desire. May a secret providence guide your thought and nurture your feeling. May your mind inhabit your life with the sureness with which your body inhabits the world. May your heart never be haunted by ghost structures of old damage. May you come to accept your longing as divine urgency. May you know the urgency with which God longs for you. And this God word is used in the context, as I speak it, as spirit, as connection to all that is, creator, greater. So there is a trust and a knowing that there's something more than what these eyes can see. And this is for the linear parts of our brains. As I was enjoying making slides for the talk, because I don't know about you, but the quieter I get, the busier and louder my mind can get. And I actually have practices to say, okay, I hear you. Great, got it. Because I work in both worlds. I do event planning and I do budgets and then I'm journeying. So instead of ignoring it, I acknowledge it. So this fed that part of my brain. So for tonight, as we dive into what rites, rituals, initiations are, I'm not defining them. I'm not telling you how to do them or not do them, but it's a journey and it's a sharing of some of my experiences and some of the experiences of the people with whom I've worked with, teachers, clients. I'll be talking a little bit more about Theosophy because we're here and it's such a beautiful dance, Theosophy and Shamanism. I've got lots of photos for you of journeys and stories. And then, as I mentioned, the Nusta Karpai are the Andean rites that brought me here. So I'm honoring both my teacher and the rites themselves. So this is a Minoan goddess invocating. Some of my ancestors are actually Greek. This is from the island of Crete. And I just really connected to this photo as I delved into the world of Theosophy and just did even more research. As John said, I've been here so gratefully when I lived here and even more. It's grown and expanded since I moved to Colorado. But delving in a bit more about Theosophy and what the beliefs and what the practices are and what is that connection with shamanism. Philosophy is a knowledge, an ancient wisdom, perennial philosophy, the wisdom tradition. One version of the ancient wisdom in recent times is Theosophy, derived from Greek roots meaning divine wisdom. It's a body of knowledge that tells us about our place in the universe and why the world is the way it is. So this ancient wisdom, this is what this brought me to as I remembered seeing these when I was there on Crete, so ancient, that Minoan culture. Although it agrees in many respects with scientific theories, it goes past them in addressing unseen realities that we all experience but often don't understand. It answers many questions that people have, such as, why am I here? What's the purpose of the universe? Is there a God? Why does there seem to be evil and injustice in the world? How can I have a purposeful and meaningful life? The vision is of wholeness, which I love. As a trained RN in my Western world, my fellow RN. Any other RNs here? Just so that I can honor you. Beautiful. In that Western world of training, the vision of wholeness is how I walk. I tell clients, no matter what they come to me with, and healers are who come to me. That's who find me. I tell them that I see them whole, no matter what their challenges, even if it's a spiritual journey they want to look deeper into, or they have physical challenges, mental or emotional challenges. I see them whole. So this wholeness is a piece that is so heartfelt. It inspires a fellowship united in study, meditation, and service. Shamanic practice is absolutely in service. The Theosophical Society in America has a mission of encouraging open-minded inquiry into world religions, as John mentioned, philosophy, science, and the arts in order to understand the wisdom of the ages, respect the unity of all life, and help people explore spiritual self-transformation. The Theosophical Society in America has an ethic holding that our every action, feeling, and thought affect all other beings, and that each of us is capable of and responsible for contributing to the benefit of the whole. It's dedicated to preserving and realizing the ageless wisdom, which embodies a worldview and a vision of human self-transformation. I said it once and I say it again because that transformation piece is key to all of us who are longing, right? We are forever moving, moment to moment. We're not staying the same. So I don't know about you, but I've been on the path of transformation, and if it's any indication from what anyone else is feeling, from people I work with, people I talk to, my friends, we all are on some level, and we're either up for that expansion or it can be pretty intense. So this is an opportunity even for us here now to welcome in that transformation and acknowledge it as we do on this earth right now. We've been called here so that we can flow with it like waves, right? And not resist it. With the resistance can come deep suffering. There can always be pain. It's part of life. But as we transform, as we move, the invitation is to move along with it and welcome in and ask the helping spirits. So shamanic life is a life of gratitude, honoring, and calling in the helping spirits. And I didn't know this until I got to the Amazon, even though I had been studying with my shamanic teachers, Alberto Violdo, Shaman Healer Sage. Some of you might know that book. And Marcela Lobos, and many, many, many of my beloved teachers, Ona, who is crossed now, and many others, Lynn Berryhill. I did not know to call in help until I went to the Amazon jungle. And that was in 2011, after I'd spent 2 weeks in the mountains. And I have lots of pictures from all of that. But I thought of this with this picture because I was on a walk one day. And I was praying. I was calling in for help. And this is what appeared in the sky. And my eyes couldn't believe it. But there it was. And to me, it looks like an angel. And I happened to have my phone, so I could catch a shot. So perhaps you can relate in looking at the sky and seeing clouds that appear to be something other than just a cloud. I received this as a sign, as an omen, and encourage you all to call in the support and help in whatever way that it can come, and it can show up in magical, beautiful ways. So in calling in the helping spirits, it can be nature spirits, it can be ancestors that we know or don't know, it can be animals of the nature world. the owls. You might know an animal or animals that you're connected to. There's so much about shamanic journeying and spirit guides and animal guides. And it is a huge source of support for me. I actually have a menagerie of stuffed animals on my bed. And the reason that I do is because I'm reminded of each and every one of them, to thank them every day. It's how I do it. And I remember even getting stuffed animals as a young one. I remember asking for a big turtle for Christmas one year, and I have turtles on my bed now because I can speak to them, and they speak to me, and they give me guidance. So they come in many different forms. This is a bit of a foggy picture, but I think you can feel the energy of it. It's a very large drum, and this was from a ceremony that I was a part of in a training that I was a part of. And shamans use tools, lots of tools. A few of them are here. But sound, the first time I ever came to the Theosophical Society was for a sound healing in this room with Marian. And sound is healing. Sound moves energy. So shamanic practice always includes sound of some sort, rattles or drums. Usually smaller than this one, but this was an amazing ceremonial drum that we could all gather around. Shamanism is a practice of direct revelation. There's nothing in between us and Source, Creator, Greater. There's nothing. We all are connected in that way. We can have support through community, including religion, that supports that direct revelation. But there's nothing that ever needs to come in between us and Source. And I mentioned shamanism and animism, that everything is alive and everything is connected, and the important piece of service. This is an Alex Grey painting, Sacred Mirrors. Is anyone familiar with Alex Grey and his work? Alex Grey is one of my teachers as well as a painter. Alex Grey taught me, and Allison Grey, the two of them together, so much in residential immersion with them, including that medicines can come in all different forms, and that my judgment could be released from whatever the belief systems were that I was raised in those times. And for that, I am so deeply grateful. This picture speaks to me in showing the visual that we know there are two bodies. There's a physical body and there's an energetic body. And so shamanic practitioners work in that energetic field. And this is where healing occurs in how it informs the body. And this is Don Mariano, who was here 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know exactly. He's a Caro Paco in the Andes of Peru. He's an elder and one of my teachers, and I'm hoping I might see him next month as I'm being called to Peru right now as I was getting ready for this talk. It's like, oh, I might be going soon, which is how it goes. Anyone who works with me or knows me knows that there could be an international trip in an instant. But Don Mariano is the Caro indigenous medicine man who gifted me and many, many others the Nustas, the Nusta Carpi, the rites of the Andean goddesses. And shamanism embodies being able to see in the dark, as owls do. That means connecting in both with the dark and light energy and moving through whatever that might be. And shamans are also known as spiritual healers. This is in a cave in Crete. I was on a women's journey and I was practicing seeing in the dark. And I'll be practicing for the rest of my life as a committed student of of connecting to my heart and to what is in the unseen worlds. For healing for myself first, to be able to ground myself, care for myself, and to be of service to others. As a healer, a teacher, an artist. So this was quite a magical trip to Crete. And we had a ceremony in that cave, and afterwards we celebrated, which is an important part of life, right? To celebrate, to mark milestones. And that's something that I practice more and more as well. We were eating ancient Minoan food from our guide. It was incredible. And so this starts the real visual part, and I'll just kind of go through. This was my last group to Peru. You might recognize some of the faces here from the Theosophical Society. And again, just the pure joy with our indigenous carol, Medicine Man. And this is a dear friend, Christina Allen, with two of her carol Paco teachers. Doña Asunta has been here to Illinois. She came for teachings as well. She's crossed over just this year. So grateful for her. And a joyful picture in the mountains. Another carol Paco, Don Pascual, and more joy after ceremony. So important. The carol are so playful and so radiant that we can be sitting in ceremony and completely connected, and the next moment be laughing and light. And it's absolutely inspiring. This is Vilma Pinedo Sanchez, one of my dear Andean sisters whom I've been on many journeys with, whom I'm being called to be with next month. And she's a medicine woman and comes from a medicine family, her whole family. Initiations. Vilma was initiated through lightning, which is often the case for the Andean medicine people. 3 times. Her mother shared the story with her and told her that her father is Don Martin and the lightning and thunder. This is Don Pablo Cruz at the end of a 5-day immersion on the high mountain, 16,000 feet. So I was smiling widely because there was snow and sleet and lots of ceremony, and it was intense but amazing. And Don Pablo was one of our carol. This is at the top of the mountain at the lagoon. You can see this is Don Francisco, one of the wonderful elders of the Caro nation. You can see the calling in, just in the energy. They're calling in the mountain spirits. We were at the top, and then we had the trek to go down over days. We were camping up on the mountain. So calling in those helping spirits, calling in the mountain to support us. And Vilma, again, in deep connection. And Don Pablo Cruz and Vilma, again, the calling in. You can almost see the energy coming from her and back through to her. And these are our mesas, our medicine bundles. That's what this is here. It's full of stones. The wisdom coming from the mountains. So we work with these stones, for those of you who are not as familiar with mesas and medicine bundles. And it is our medicine. So this is my main medicine when I'm working with people, are the stones. Again, Don Pablo Cruz and Don Francisco calling in ceremony, and a ceremony at night in a tent up on the mountain. Don Pascual, full of joy. This was a soul retrieval despacho ceremony. So we were called into separate groups, not knowing which Paco, which medicine person was doing what ceremony, and then it was unfolded, and I was called to the soul retrieval group up on the mountain. It was very beautiful. And this is rites. So in the Andes tradition, they transmit. They've been gifted rites through from the stars, from the heavens, from Spirit, from Creator, and they're called to share them because that's our responsibility. So this was a beautiful rites ceremony at Morai. So Morai is this beautiful earth circle sacred site, and it's like being in Mother Earth's belly, Pachamama's belly. We did lots of ceremony there. This is Don Benito, another Caro Paco with whom I've worked, and he's worked with the groups that I've brought to Peru. Just a beautiful light being. And this is Don Mariano and I, and this is a waterfall where I received my Nusta's rites, specifically Doña Mujia, connected to the second chakra, the chakra of water, the goddess of water and flowers. So it was a very special time that we trekked there, and then he transmitted those rites, and we connected to the spirit of water in such a beautiful, beautiful way. More rites in a cave in Peru, as he's transmitting to me. And just absolute sheer bliss for me. I can remember this like it was yesterday, in feeling that water and feeling the energy of the water and that goddess connecting to it just so intensely and so beautifully. This is on Condor Mountain, receiving rites of the condor. And this is in Colorado. And this is an invitation for all of us. This is Indian Peaks. Some of you might have been there. This is an invitation for us all to invocate. This is an invitation for us all to connect to nature, to the nature spirits. In the Andes, they speak to the mountains. They all have names, like ours have names here, the taller ones. And they thank them first for guiding them and for protecting them. So this is an invitation for each and every one of us to invoke and to build that relationship with the nature beings. This happens to be a set of the mountains that I feel most closely connected to in Colorado. But that's why I shared this picture, because it's for each and every one of us. It's our divine right to call in that support and that help. And to feel joy just in their presence. And this is in Rocky Mountain National Park, connecting to a tree and the energy of this tree, which is so grounding. Deep, deep roots into Mother Earth's belly. Don Mariano with a ceremony in Boulder when he was here. We did a 2-week tour, a week in Boulder and then a week here. And that's when he was here in this room after a ceremony. And that was downstairs in one of the teachings, looks like the Nustas, which he transmitted to a group that was here. And this is Don Mariano playfully enjoying the condor that he created from the llama fat, which was part of the ceremony that he made. And always just the lightness is just so beautiful. This is Doña Asunta in a fire ceremony here. And this is Doña Asunta seeing Lake Michigan for the first time. I brought them down to the lake, and it was so deeply touching to see her honor the water. And she kept asking, "Are you sure it's not an ocean?" Because she couldn't see the other side. And another despacho, I just create these, and this is an invitation for you as well. Create a ceremony. Make it a ritual if it feels good to you, in honoring yourself, nature, and whatever prayers, wishes, gratitude that you want to blow in, just as you have that invitation tonight. And I find heart rocks everywhere. So when I was up on the mountains on Salcantay at 16,000 feet, I kept seeing heart rocks, like big ones. And I had my pack on, and fortunately we had a great team. So we had horses, and I didn't have to rough it so badly. Somebody else put our tents up. And so I can't profess that, I was backpacking like my daughter was with 80 pounds on her back for 3.5 months. But as I saw the heart rocks, I was like, can I just bring some of you home, and asking them, always asking permission from Mother Nature, always asking permission. And when we do, we'll get an answer really clearly, yes or no, back. Even permission as to whether we can connect. So I got permission from some of the rocks, and I think I paid $80 of shipping for the rocks that I was carrying down. And altars, a place of honoring. For me, it used to have a connotation of religious meaning, being raised Catholic. And what I know now is that it's truly a deep place of honoring. And I didn't know that growing up. But flowers, spirit water, which allows for cleansing and clearing. You can see some of the medicine bundles, feathers from the birds. This is from my dear friend Christina Allen. And even something as simple as a bath can be a sacred ritual, right? Everything is sacred when we choose to walk that way, when we know that we are all connected and that we are mirrors for each other, and that we can honor Mother Earth in every moment. And we know that we're challenged in this moment with this, but we can do these rituals, we can do these ceremonies to support Mother Earth, and it does matter. It makes a big difference, even if it doesn't feel like it in this moment. Sandra Ingerman is a wonderful teacher in medicine for the earth. So sandraingerman.com, you can find lots of info there just in ceremonies that she supports. This is a bath at the retreat center in Peru. This was a trip, the trip to Crete, and we did ceremony honoring the medicine people that came before. This is my honoring, deep felt, I just fell to the ground and honoring the earth on one of the mountains, Maras, in Peru. And Don Mariano at that beautiful, beautiful waterfall, and his son. He's apprenticing his son in the medicine. And ancestral pilgrimage can be a rite, a ritual ceremony, if you hold it as sacred. And this was an ancestral pilgrimage for me to Greece, from where my grandfather came and was born in the house right here. And I showed up, and my cousins who lived there didn't know I was coming because I didn't know how to get a hold of them. My parents had gone. I had pictures on my phone, and I literally showed up. My daughter was in Paris going to school. It was like great opportunity for me to go to Greece. That was my excuse, right? Had to move her into Paris and then go to Greece. And I literally showed up at the house, and my cousin Panayoti was sitting in a chair. I recognized him from the pictures that my parents had, and I introduced myself. And he sat and looked, and I showed him the pictures. And from there, I was family. That was it. And now we have a beautiful relationship. So ancestral pilgrimages can be very, very powerful if held in a sacred way and connecting into the ancestors. A totem, more mesas and flowers and altar. And this is a ceremony I did at Indian Peaks, I believe. Again, I just brought flowers. People will see me on the trails just carrying flowers, and then I'll create a ceremony. And this was a tiger trout that showed up when I was sitting on a rock up in the mountains one day, just right in front of me. So sacred experience of connecting with this animal being, again, really an initiation for me of being able to hear what this animal had to say to me and for me. This is Kuma, my friend Christina Allen's dog, medicine dog, and animals as they are, they just know, right? So Kuma is embracing Christina's medicine bundle, Mesa. This is a magical, mystical experience in Paris at an abbey. I was sobbing for a long time seeing those beautiful colors, connecting to Mama Kocha, Mother Ocean, more tools, drums, I still have yet to paint on this one because I'm just being with that bison hide and still getting to know it years and years later. And this one wanted to be a very feminine expression. So 2 very different tones of those drums as I play them. This is a Chagall in Paris and a Kandinsky in Paris from the Pompidou Museum. And I, as an artist, as a painter, and my dear, amazing mentor and what other word can I describe Cheryl McGinnis as she's an art curator in New York. Art is sacred. The practice of art, viewing art. You can go in and have ceremony, have an initiation just by viewing art. So go to a museum and pick one and dive in. And this was a piece of art that I created during my last residential with Dr. Estes, as I was connecting into the spirit of ayahuasca and the medicine, the psychedelic medicines, which I want to mention because entheogens are now, Chicago has decriminalized entheogens. Is anyone aware? Yeah. These are medicines. These are deep, powerful medicines, and shamanic traditions have used plant medicines for ages. They're not to be messed with, that's for sure. But they're deeply, deeply healing and have the potential to be deeply healing. And my story about ayahuasca is that other talk with my death in the Amazon, and actually the first go at it being a story to share in book form. So these psychedelic medicines, whether it's indigenous to the Amazon with ayahuasca, whether it's psilocybin, which Johns Hopkins just got $17 million for psilocybin research, these are healing medicines. And part of the work that I do now that I could never have imagined, but since my journeys, my ceremonies with ayahuasca in 2011 where I died, and it wasn't a pretty death, it was a very traumatic death because I wasn't ready to die, had not a clue. And Jaguar was by my side. I asked Jaguar to show me the way beyond death, and she did. The peace came when I saw my body absorbed from the earth, but before that I was fighting, and it wasn't pleasant. So part of my work is living consciously and dying consciously as well. So to work with those who are working with endings of whatever type in our lives. Life is about endings and beginnings. That's what life is. It's a cycle, or crossing out of the body. This is from the Retreat Center in Peru. So I had a revelation in this work that I'm doing now with ketamine therapy. So ketamine, anyone familiar with ketamine here in the room? And some of you are raising your hands in internet world, I can see. So ketamine is a psychedelic. It's an anesthetic first, decades old, very safe anesthetic, used for children and animals even. And when I was a pediatric nurse, that was the anesthetic most often that the children were given, that I was taking care of them after it. It's being used, studied now for anxiety, depression, PTSD, addiction, with incredible results. And in a way that the people who are administered the ketamine with very low doses are guided in this psychedelic journey. And the magic that is happening with this work, I cannot even speak with words. And I am honored to be a ketamine therapist trained by my mentors, Phil Wolfson and Julaine Andrews in California, and now working with Dr. Scott Shannon in the Psychedelic Research and Training Institute. And this is something that I would never have imagined would be part of my world, because I had great judgment on all of these kinds of medicines. And I'm going to read to you, as we get closer to the end here, a piece from an indigenous, well, here it is, so we might as well, no time but the present, right? The Haudenosaunee, Iroquois, Haudenosaunee, Thanksgiving Address, Greetings to the Natural World. The medicine herbs. Now we turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy. There are still among us those special few who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of these medicines. Now our minds are one. This is the time. It's extremely powerful, and I was so glad to have been shown this past weekend at a ketamine training that I was training others from Jamie, one of our board members from the Research Institute. So whether it's chemically made, which the insight that I got this past weekend as connecting into the spirit of ketamine, because everything is energy, right? Everything has a spirit, everything is alive, whether it's plant or made in a lab, is that she was telling me ayahuasca is the medicine of the Shipibo in the Amazon, other medicines in other cultures, right? I, ketamine, am the medicine of the Western world of medicine. She said, honor me in that way. So powerful. It was really quite amazing to have that. And this is me hanging on a vine in the Amazon. And this was when I had this medicine experience for a talk for another day of my death in the Amazon with ayahuasca medicine. So as we come to a close here, creating with spirit is the invitation for all of us. What are we creating in our lives? They say, what are you growing? What corn are you growing in the Andes? Being present with what it is that you're manifesting. What are you sharing? Are you able to radiate your light? What can you do in your life with rites, rituals, initiations, practices to be able to radiate your light out into the world? It's practice. There are mornings that I wake up and I want to crawl back under the covers with my cat and stay there. I'm an introvert at heart, and I can stay inside for days, and my daughters will say, Mom, it's like I haven't been out. Mom, go out, go out. But we're here for connection, right? We need to nurture ourselves and maybe have that few days. But then it's time to connect, for us to be in the world. What does that look like for you? What makes you shine? What makes you light up? What are your gifts that you can share in the world? These are questions that we can all ask. For me, I paint, and I'd love to paint more, and I will. I'd love to share those paintings, and I love to do commissions as I journey. And then there are beings on the canvas that are for people, just for them, whatever that journey was. It's working with the sacred, it's healing ways, it's empowering ourselves and others. It's deepening connection, it's living a world of possibilities, accessing inner realms, being a bridge between the worlds. If we can flow spirit through us, then we can be of service in deep, deep, deep ways. One of my messages to myself that came in deep inner work and inner reflection is, by expressing myself, I am radiant and free in the world. And I feel that when I do it, and I feel it when I don't do it. Receiving guidance, aligning with source, all of these pieces of creating with spirit. So what doorways are open for you? What doorways are opening? What doorways or doors have closed that you can honor and you can have ceremony to say goodbye to? So many people in the end of their lives in these bodies are working with pieces that they hadn't closed yet. That's an invitation. What doors can you close? Gratitude for, to whom, forgiveness, so that you can open the doors that bring you the gift of enjoying life. This world is full of great intensity, and we've all been called here for a reason. And this longing is what I connect to, and it's why I'm here, and it's why I'm so grateful to be able to have been able to talk to you tonight and to guide journeys and to do the work with ketamine. Because this longing, for me, is a longing of connection and of service. How can I be of service? How can I use the gifts that I have? So I'd like to say thank you in closing to all the helping spirits that have been here with us. Mother Earth, Father Sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of our teachers, Sachamama, Great Serpent, Ocharango Chokachinchay, Sirakinte, Royal Hummingbird, all of the wise ones, the wisdom teachers, Apuchin, Great Eagle, Great Condor, Hawk, Owl, the hidden folk, earth, air, fire, water, the Apus, the mountains, Lake Michigan, all of the waters, Mother Ocean. Thank you for being here with us, guiding us tonight.
If you've always led from your brain or your head, how do you even start to lead from your heart? How do you start that process?
That's the question here in the Western world, right? Doing what we did to start this evening. Practice that. Practice it every day. I don't have the answers of what's right or wrong, but that's one way to get quiet and see if you can hear just whatever messages are coming to you. When I got quiet as I was getting ready I flew in yesterday from Colorado, and last night I got the message, well, the slides that you have, redo them. There's like, I don't know how many, like 85 or something. And that was late last night. I was like, really? Okay. But I got quiet and I asked and I got the answer. There were lots of words on lots of the pictures, so I took them all off because it was a journey of you being able to absorb it. I got quiet again today and immediately I got, drink your water, drink your water. So get quiet in whatever way resonates for you. And that is a beautiful way to start. And hold your heart. And lots of other ways. Sandra Ingerman has a wonderful website. I've got a little bit on my website, but feel free to connect with me after as well. And I hope that was helpful.
What was the beginning, or what was the thing that made you start doing rituals and rites, and what was kind of the catalyst for that beginning?
Great question. What I can share is that I remember, I'm 56 now, and in my 30s, I remember as my two daughters were in catechism in Catholic school, and I was volunteering in the office, and one of the sisters was in the office, and she said, "How are you doing?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know how I'm doing." She said, I said, "I'm searching." And she said, "Good. Keep searching." And that blew me away because I didn't expect that from the nun at the convent, because that's not how, actually we were raised with really wonderful people. My dad was a liturgical artist. My parents are still alive and here, and I get to see them on Sunday. But that experience, that opened me. I got permission. So give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to search and to wonder and to imagine the possibilities. And blow it wide open about what you're dreaming of. Because if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it for you. So give yourself permission first and see how that works for you and where it leads you. Because possibly it may lead to some magic that you can't explain, where something or someone shows up for you and becomes a teacher or a guide.
That pretty much says it all right there. So what you just said. Going back to the drawing that you had, where you said you did ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. When I saw that, I thought immediately of salvinorium or salvia, that exact pattern. Mm. Have you experienced salvia in the...
I have not. The two psychedelics that I've experienced are ayahuasca in the Amazon, 2 ceremonies. One was a rebirth, and then the second night was death. So I did both, balance it out, I guess. And then ketamine. Those have been my experiences in my body. I've experienced it with others, guiding them and supporting them, but I've not experienced
And those
that.
are the kinds of entheogens, however you want to pronounce it, that you've utilized?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. And not all medicines call all of us. That's super important. We need to trust where we're being called and how we're being called. That's really, really important. I journey most of the time with a rattle or my drum or just silence and a candle, maybe, and some incense. Great incense at the shop, by the way, at the Quest Book Shop. Not a planned plug, but really amazing incense at the shop. Frankincense and myrrh.
Have you ever been able to put these experiences into a book?
I have the first draft of my first book. Thank you for asking. I need a really good editor that can help me with the with the making a book, because I've never written a book before. So yes, it's called The Amazon and the Vine, and it's really about my journey in the jungle and the lessons that I learned, which took me 2 years to be able to talk about it, because it was so traumatic for me, because I wasn't, I didn't feel prepared, but I called it in and I got it. I experienced the death. So it took me 2 years to process it, and I'm so grateful for all of those lessons. So Theosophical Society will be one of the first to know when it when it's ready and out in press. So.
Well, then the second part of that is, have you put it into your artwork too, your experiences?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Not as much as I would like is the honest, authentic answer to that. I really struggle with giving myself permission to paint. My busy brain thinks it needs to be doing all these other things and working, and so this is something that I'm working on giving myself permission for, is to express myself. My dad was a painter, and it's such a gift to have that support from them, and it's fully supported. They have my art all over their walls. So thank you for asking that, and I will think of you as I sit quietly to give myself permission to paint more.
How do you separate the commercialism from the spiritualism? Because I have seen a lot of movies on, people going to Peru, and there are a lot of fake people there. It's become a very commercial enterprise, using the drug experiences and everything like that. And, I've found the same thing in researching things about India. And there are a lot of people out there that are using the, they see that, like anything else, when they feel that there's a need, they want to get on the bandwagon, make it into a monetary thing. And I've heard a lot about that happening in Peru, and a lot of people having bad experiences, not the spiritual awakening type thing, because of, you could call them charlatans or other things. I'm just, very weary of this, because I see it happening, and it's happened throughout history. So.
Yeah, it absolutely has. The abuse of power, for sure. Last year I was in Brazil at this time, or coming up, at the Casa de Dom Ignacio. And wow, I don't know if he's still incarcerated. If you know that story, that's a whole nother talk. I've been there. And at the same time, I had the deepest spiritual healings in that space, with direct connection and support from Santa Rita. But to answer your question, if I'm understanding it, is how do I separate those who are deeply connected and committed to the work from those who may have other intentions? Practice of connecting in, listening to my guidance, asking yes or no, and then feeling it in my body. Like if all of a sudden my gut gets tight, somatic awareness, then I know that something's not right. So practice of connecting in to who these people are. When I went to the Amazon, I went with my school. So I didn't just go on my own, finding the people on my own. And most of the people that I've been connected to have been through other people who have known them. And I hear you completely, because it exists. It's human nature, the abuse of power and greed. So I guess to answer the question most simply is listen to your guidance, ask for the help, ask for the guidance. And by the way, helping spirits are just that, helping spirits. If it's supportive information, then you've connected into the helping spirits, right? If it's giving some other information, it's probably your busy mind saying something that's not supportive of you. So I don't have an end all be all, but checking with others, who have they worked with, going to a healer or a medicine person or a place, a group that has some kind of reviews, literally, because there are lots, and I've heard stories from friends who have been down there as well that would make your blood curdle or make you cry as well. It's for real, and and I'm happy to recommend people in Peru outside of this places, for you to research on your own. But it's always connecting to your own inner guidance. And one teacher who's in integrity may not be resonant for another person as well. So that's a little bit different of a thing, but not everyone and not every medicine is resonant for each one of us. So asking those questions of yourself, asking for that guidance and getting the yeses or the nos.
The thought of ceremony hit me. I have a family member that's going to pass sometime soon, I suppose. And the relationship is pretty much non-existent, but the thought that came to me was that I should have a ceremony for his passing. Can you give me some resources?
Yes, I can. There are many books. So Quest Bookshop, I'm sure, has a whole section on living and dying. Okay. So that would be one general one without giving you specific names. And if you search, I don't know the exact name, but I can give it to you after. In Boulder, Colorado, I'll actually be teaching, co-teaching, assisting. Kitty Edwards is the executive director of a Living and Dying Consciously project, which is a nonprofit, and does exactly this. Guides people in ceremony to work with others and themselves in the process of death and dying. So I don't know the exact name of the website, but it's the Living and Dying Consciously project. That's a great resource. You're welcome.